So here's a free speech issue that surprisingly did not go viral, even though oftentimes these kinds of issues do, strike a nerve and go viral. Voice of San Diego reports that San Diego police have issued 83 tickets to people since 2013 for seditious language, aka offending a cop. So it's a 102-year-old law, and they go on to give examples in the article. One person was rapping. They were rapping, and the officer took offense because they thought the person was rapping and cursing at him. So the officer wrote a ticket. There's another person who was in their own home. And if I'm not mistaken, it's not cheap. Like, there were like hundreds of dollars for these tickets. And here you have a situation where, and this is all too common, guys. I mean, I've seen so many cases like this where the Constitution is just being totally ignored. Like, we have freedom of speech. It's in the First Amendment. And you have states and cities, localities that are just like, yeah, we have some old, primitive law on the book that says you can't trigger an officer. You can't hurt their snowflake feelings. Seditious language. That's not... How does anybody think that's legal or okay? So really, this is a story of the cops being the ultimate snowflakes. The cops being anti-free speech. Seditious language. So if you're talking in a way that seems like, oh, maybe you want to overthrow the U.S. government, they could write you a ticket. They could write you a ticket. They could fine you because you're like, hey, maybe we shouldn't have a system where corporations run everything and own the politicians. Maybe we shouldn't have a system where we're constantly at war. Maybe we shouldn't have that system. Maybe we should fix it. Maybe we should change it. If they interpret it as, you want to overthrow the government, they could write you a ticket. And I'm sure most of the instances are more like this. 83 instances are more like this, where it's like, you hurt the feelings of a police officer. Like, and this gets back to, like, what does it mean to live in a free society? If you get into an argument with an officer and you call him a name, or you say, hey man, that's stupid. With rules like this that are being enforced, they will punish you simply for talking back to them. So this is somebody on a power trip with a badge who is trying to criminalize disagreement or dissent. That's what this is. That's what this is. And again, this doesn't even need to be said because it's obvious anytime we talk about real free speech issues these days. I don't see any of the so-called free speech warriors. I don't see Ben Shapiro. I don't see Dave Rubin, Rave Dubin. For a guy who claims to care about the issue so much, whenever it's actually a literal First Amendment free speech issue, like it involves the legality of it, he's nowhere to be found. Remember when there was the hurricane that hit, I believe it was Houston, and in order to get relief money, you had to pledge not to boycott Israel. Weird. He didn't come out and say, whoa, that's against free speech in the First Amendment. That's crazy. I'm not okay with that. He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything when Republicans have repeatedly brought up actual laws to criminalize protesting. We just covered one, I think it was in North Carolina, where they said you need to get a permit in order to protest, but then if you went for a permit, they just wouldn't give you a permit. And then if you showed up, they'd arrest you. That's criminalizing, that's banning free speech and free protest. And none of the free speech warriors said anything. Guys, this is the real assault on free speech. The number one issue where they try to silence people is on pro-Palestinian rights issues. If you say anything mildly critical of Israel, they come after you. There are states that passed anti-BDS laws. So you're legally allowed to vocalize the idea of protesting the United States of America, boycotting your own country, but you can't do it with Israel. What a joke! What a joke. And now we have laws. Now we know that there are laws on the books to protect the feelings of snowflake cops, and I don't hear anything in the discourse about it. Because again, gets back to the main point on this. which is the only time the right pretends to care about freedom of speech is when they could bash some pink-haired college kid who's creating a safe space on their campus. Then they'll say, oh, we need to be tolerant of people who disagree and have discourse and debate. Can we debate boycotting Israel? No. We can't do that one. Can we debate whether or not these Confederate statues should be up and protest them in the public square? No, not that one either. Not that one either. Can you debate a police officer on the legality of something? No. Then you get a ticket for seditious language. What a joke. And by the way, all these people back Trump. And Trump is the guy who just said 1,000 times we should ban flag burning. We should give people a year in jail if they burn the flag. It is literally like the hallmark freedom of speech case. He's like, I disagree with the free speech ruling in that case. What a joke. What hypocrites.